number of games. Ukraine have played 3, Italy only 2, North Macedonia 3, Malta 4. But Ukraine currently in second place in the group with 6 points. Italy on 3 points. They're playing North Macedonia away tonight. And if England can win this game here, then they will be very close to automatic qualification for the Euros. If you've not heard the team news, Ukraine, quite a number of familiar names in here. Bushchan's the goalkeeper. Back four of Konoplia, Zabani, Matvienko and Mikolenko of Everton. As the match begins, the Bulgarian referee gets us underway. Georgi Kapakov. And to complete that lineup for Ukraine, Stepanenko, the captain, in the middle of midfield. Sudakov, the promising young Sudakov to his right. Zinchenko of Arsenal to his left. And then the front line of the inform, Tsihankov, Mudryk of Chelsea on the left, and Roman Yaremchuk through the middle. Ukraine in their all-yellow kit with the blue numbers, and England playing here in all red with blue trim as the ball is played back to Harry Maguire in central defence in the middle of his half, and with his right foot he just turns it to Mark Gay, who's standing there to his left, the Crystal Palace man. So England with Pickford in goal, Walker, Maguire, Gay and Chilwell, and then midfield Rice, Henderson and Bellingham of Real Madrid, and then the front line of Bukayo Saka, Harry Kane of Bayern Munich and James Maddison. Matthew Upson is watching with us, England World Cup defender. Doesn't trip off the tongue naturally yet to say Harry Kane of Bayern Munich, but that's what he is. Here's Kyle Walker. He might have been of Bayern Munich, but he's staying at Manchester City. England dominating possession in the early stages of this match. Here's Chilwell, who is in for the injured Luke Shaw, who I think you'd consider is the first choice England left back. And here's Harry Kane, who's dropped back all the way to the halfway line to pick up possession. Jordan Henderson, Saudi Arabian-based player in the England team. We've never seen that either before. Here's Chilwell on the left-hand side. Chilwell goes all the way back towards the halfway line. And England have it again, trying to build something. Ball is with Walker. Walker goes for a little ball through the middle. Now Declan Rice is there. Declan Rice carries it out towards the right-hand side. Bukayo Saka gets his first touch of the ball, but has to prod it back to the halfway line. And England absolutely dominating the possession. Ukraine have hardly had the football. This is the way to try and quell what is a very partisan crowd supporting Ukraine here in this Polish football stadium. Still England in possession. We're going to go to Exeter in a moment, but with the ball in play and Jordan Henderson on it, and there is the cry, there is the chorus of Ukraine coming from the stands. This is the support that Ukraine expected in this match. Forward it goes for England into centre field, but then back again, and Maguire across to Kyle Walker. Now to the right-hand side to Bukayo Saka. Saka, low ball in towards the edge of the penalty area. Kane is there, bounces back to Kane, and then Saka works it back to Henderson. Little ball from Henderson into the penalty area. That was headed away, but possession straight back to England again, who are now parked inside Ukraine territory. Jude Bellingham on the ball. Bellingham of Real Madrid, his first England appearance since joining the great club. And Bellingham again glides round the first challenge, plays it into the area to Saka, who carries it on over the dead ball line under pressure from the defender, and it is a goal kick to Ukraine. Still Ukraine 0, England 0, and let's get the full-time news from Exeter from Sheridan Robbins.
Exeter 1, Leyton Orient 2, all the goals in the second half. Mitchell's volley gave the home side the lead before 8 minutes later Joel Pigott poked the ball home from close range to equalise. Real Satura though popped up in added time to snatch the points from St James's Park. It's Exeter 1, Leyton Orient 2.
And to MK Dons, Sohail Sahi.
Yeah, full-time John. MK Dons 1, Notts County 1. Much improved second half. MK Dons, they took the lead within 60 seconds of the restart. Daniel Harvey smashing it home from just inside the area. Notts County responded and equalised through their captain Carl Cameron. Notts County, they dropped to second in League 2. Full-time, MK Dons 1, Notts County 1.
Same pattern here in Poland. England seeing a lot of the football. Madison plays it out towards the left-hand side, then back to the halfway line again. Then the pass forward for Bellingham to make that run now into the full-back position. He caresses the ball from foot to foot, goes past the defender brilliantly. Then Bellingham with the left foot cross. Defender gets his head to it at the near post, and then Mudryk jumps, couldn't clear it. Walker's got it back. That was a brilliant early touch from Bellingham. Wow.
the question before about looking forward to seeing him play, well, that just answers that well and truly. What a lovely step over. I mean, the guy is a Rolls Royce, isn't he? The smoothness in how he moves with the ball, but he's flipping the ball between his feet and then he's doing a step over. His first yard, John, once he decides that he's going to go, he's got this amazing little spurt of pace where he can just drop a shoulder and go past the defender. Amazing play from him.
Back to League One again, because it is over with you now, is it, Chris Coles?
It is, John. Stevenage 2, Carlisle 2. Joe Garner's 90th minute header rescuing a point for Carlisle. Disappointment for Stevenage, still a point though that takes them top of League One. Stevenage 2, Carlisle 2.
I'll run you through all of the scores once the final whistles have gone. But here's Bellingham for England, playing it through the middle. Madison's onto this. Little touch from Henderson, actually slightly behind Madison. But Ukraine dropping back into position. So Madison square towards Bellingham. And then Bellingham works a pass, actually right onto the chest of Mikalenko, who's able to take it down. But the header is won back by Declan Rice, heading it towards the edge of the penalty area, where Zabani was able to get it away for Ukraine. But England almost totally dominant in terms of possession, Matt Upson.
Well, they've had the ball for 99% of this game so far. We're nearly 6 minutes in and Ukraine have barely touched it. I mean, the one thing you are seeing is that this Ukrainian team isn't going to come out fishing. They're sat in there, they're going to be patient, they're not going to get lured into trying to press into areas and leave those holes for Maddison and Saka and Bellingham. They're going to keep really tight and maybe sit deep in a lot of this game.
And just a warning from Gareth Southgate yesterday, he said this is a counter-attacking team that Serhii Rebrov has moulded so far with Ukraine. Now Saka has stayed down. Saka has stayed down and is just getting to his feet, and he looks in a little bit of discomfort there. He's flexing his knees, he's hobbling away, and he is not moving smoothly at all.
And there's no one warming up, no one's been sent out to warm up. He's hobbling about, Saka, but I think it was just more of a bang to the thigh, John, as opposed to anything. I think they're just relying on him just being able to run that one off.
England with the ball on the left-hand side. Here's Chilwell, a first burst forward, down him into the full-back position, almost overran it, had to stretch, and actually the goalkeeper Bushchan gave a shout, defender left it and he was able to pick it up. So Ukraine 0, England 0. This is BBC Radio 5 Live. We're live in Poland at the home of Śląsk Wrocław. That's the local team that play inside this stadium, one of the Euro 2012 stadiums. Ukraine with the ball at the back, and actually Matvienko got himself into a right twist there, and actually rather hurriedly had to put the ball out of play for an England throw down the right. Another full-time score in the Women's Champions League qualifying match. Arsenal are out. It finished 3-3 today between Arsenal and Paris. Went to penalties and Paris won 4-2 on penalties, so Arsenal are out. Ukraine 0, England 0. So say I'll run you through all of the Football League scores when we get them in, but England with the ball on the left hand side, and of course we've got commentary to come later as well on England-Argentina at the Rugby Union World Cup. That's from 8 o'clock, and after that commentary on the women's final at the US Open live from New York. So much good live sport, or at least we hope this will be good. So far, England dominant, but still goalless. Chilwell receives it from Bellingham in a deep out position. Bellingham gets it back now, again drags his foot over the ball. He absolutely oozes confidence, Jude Bellingham.
You can tell in his body language. I mean, the way he's demanding the ball, the way he's kind of strutting around the pitch almost with his chest out and bouncing around the place. He's in fine form. Good
play, Maddison does well, swings a low pass to the right hand side. Saka, who seems okay, keeps it in, uses Walker near the right corner of the box. Now Maddison is onto this again, wearing the number 11 for England. James Maddison, only his 4th appearance for England, actually made his first start for England in the game against Ukraine at Wembley in March. Again, the Ukraine chant comes down from the stands as Walker plays it forward, but Saka won't reach that, and goalkeeper Bushchan was able to come forward and claim it, and Ukraine have it at the back in their defensive third. Passing forward towards Alexander Zinchenko. of Arsenal spoke so well yesterday about the war and the footballers' role and what they can do as Maddison takes the ball on, but he's dispossessed by the Ukrainian captain Stepanenko. And now the ball on the right-hand side with Konoplia, comes back centrally, and Zinchenko goes back into central defence, and Ukraine for once have a spell of possession in centre field. Mudryk dropping deep, and then it's back to Mikolenko.
I mean, that's nearly 10 minutes, John, without the ball. Ukraine have been sat patiently waiting for the opportunity. They're now knocking it around, stroking it around the back a little bit. But what an impressive display from England in terms of possession and probing the opposition.
All of the League Two full-time scores are in now. When we get a chance, I'll run you through them. You might have just got back into your car after watching some of those games. It's Ukraine 0, England 0. On what is also, we should say, a very warm evening, Saturday afternoon stroke evening here in southwest Poland. I know it is very warm at home as well at the moment. Jordan Henderson should feel very much at home in these conditions. Here is the ball on the left-hand side with Zinchenko, who tried to pass it through, but Saka just stepped across, cut it out, and then Jordan Henderson wins a throw-in on the halfway line. So the full times in League Two: Bradford City 1, Grimsby 1, Accrington 0, Mansfield Town 3, Wimbledon 1, Stockport County 2, Colchester 2, Tranmere 0, Crawley 4, Newport 1, Forest Green 1, Crewe 4, Gillingham 1, Harrogate 0, MK Dons 1, Notts County 1, as we've heard, Salford 1, Walsall 2, Swindon 5, Sutton 3, and been involved in another high-scoring game, Swindon Town, and Wrexham winning 2-1 against Doncaster Rovers. 0-0 here. Ukraine on the back foot, but winning the ball back from Jude Bellingham, but Rice was able to step forward and reclaim it for England. Now here's Henderson operating just here on the right wing. Ball played down for Saka. Saka back to Henderson. Here's the cross from Henderson, looking for Kane, but it was past him. Chilwell catches up with it in the full-back position. Chilwell now back to Bellingham. Bellingham, little ball, but actually it wasn't anticipated by Declan Rice. And now Ukraine are able to step in, but Chilwell comes back and is able to claim possession back for England again.
Great recovery. Ben Chilwell saw the danger and just read it, dropped back into that left-back position, took the ball back in, and England back on the ball, stroking it around. And I think you're right, John, in terms of the conditions. Neither team really tearing around the pitch in terms of pressing one another. Both happy to just maybe stay off a little bit and be patient when the other one has the ball, but at the moment it is all England in possession.
And there's that chant again, Ukraina, Ukraine, and again the applause rings round the ground. And it was lovely as well, you know. I think it was quite from the Ukrainians, and the reason this game is played here is because there's such a large Ukrainian community now in this area. Here's Kane for England, playing the ball in 35 yards out on the right-hand side. Only half cleared, comes out to Saka, left foot shot, but that was blocked effectively by Stepanenko, who threw himself in the path of it, just 2 or 3 yards away from where Saka scored it. It was not unlike actually where he scored from in the game at Wembley against Ukraine. Bukayo Saka, now Bellingham turns, gets the ball back from Henderson. Bellingham couldn't turn inside the area, the ball was slightly behind him, and therefore Ukrainian defenders were able to converge on the Real Madrid man and get the ball clear, and then Mudryk is tripped by Walker, and it's a free kick to Ukraine in their own left-back area.
Yeah, some real decisive attacking movements coming from Bellingham when he wins that ball. He just sees half an opening, and he's got the quality just to either break a line with a pass or play a little 1-2, but he's always on the move. There's a nice little 1-2 with Maddison, gets the ball back, he's into the box. There's just too many players, Ukraine players around him, just smothers out the opportunity, but he's so threatening from that kind of advanced midfield position.
England are so much on top in the match that I have to say, on the match that we've seen so far, were England to break through now and get a goal, you do wonder what that would do to the Ukrainian psyche. However, it is still 0-0, and remember the threat of Ukraine on the counter-attack with Tsihankov on one side, who's got 4 goals in his last 3 internationals, those games at the end of last season, and Mudryk on the other, who's yet to get off the mark for either club or country, the Chelsea man. Here England are almost inevitably in possession. Comes back to Harry Maguire, winning his 58th cap tonight. Just a few minutes really of time for Manchester United so far this season in the latter stages of the defeat at Arsenal on Sunday. Maguire, then to Walker, and then back to Maguire again. So Mark Gay, it's his 5th cap tonight. Back to Maguire, who's going to hit a longer pass now out towards the left-hand side, and it's chested down there by the Chelsea. Well, he's often the Chelsea captain at the moment, with Reece James out injured. Ben Chilwell. Now Jordan Henderson drops deep for it, and Henderson back into the centre circle. Jordan Henderson, Gareth Southgate said he shaped up well in training this week because they wanted to have a look and see what his levels were like. But there again, you probably wouldn't have expected Gareth Southgate to say anything different. Here's Walker, back to Henderson, but there'll be a great deal of scrutiny on how he plays, won't there?
Yeah, certainly. They'll be looking at his sharpness, his fitness. I mean, I think we're early days into his move. You know, he's done a good pre-season, so he's in pretty good shape. It's just as the weeks and months go on, whether or not future squads and all the way through the season, whether or not the level out in Saudi Arabia might affect his selection, but at the moment he looks good, Jordan Henderson.
Another classy touch from Jude Bellingham in centre field there as the ball came into him at pace. There was a man there with him, just cushioned it off to Saka, who wasn't able to take it on.
I mean, what I love about him, how early he sees that, John. He knows that there could be pressure all around him, Jude Bellingham, and his first touch is just where there's one outlet, whether it's backwards, sideways, diagonal, and his first touch and body weight is just straight into that hole, and he's away. You know, his awareness of his position on the pitch is just second to none.
He's such a figure of a man now as well, and striding through the middle. Jude Bellingham, already 5 goals in his first 4 appearances for Real Madrid, signing for Real Madrid, this boy from Stourbridge, when he was still 19, signed for them just before his 20th birthday, and it could go well beyond if all of the various clauses come to pass, well over 100 million euros. Ball played out to the right hand side, Saka, the defender just got the touch. Mykolenko, the Everton man, the number 16, as England have it again on the halfway line. Here's Chilwell, 0-0. If you've just switched on to us, if you've been out at a match this afternoon, we've got the England match now, the England Rugby Union match, their first at the World Cup at 8 o'clock, and then the tennis from New York after that. As Kane on the left-hand side just plays the ball out. That is an unforced error by the England captain. Passed it behind Chilwell and straight out of play for a throw to Ukraine.
I mean, one of the elements of this game I was looking forward to seeing was how Walker and Chilwell were going to cope with Sihankov and Mudryk, who I think are exciting young attacking players, kind of inverted wingers, like lots of 1v1s, a bit of pace. But John, I don't think I've seen them touch the ball. I literally do not think they've had possession of the ball at all. All they've done in that area of the pitch is drop back into position, shuffle across as the ball's being transferred, and just defend. I mean, they cannot get hold of the ball, Ukraine, and we're getting close to 20 minutes of the game gone.
Still goalless. Here's Chilwell going back into his own half to Mark Gay. Just shuffles the ball forward over the halfway line, and then it goes via Maguire to Jordan Henderson, and then Henderson pulls it centrally again to Gay, and now Gay is going to have a wander forward. This is the first time he's done this. Gay takes it on 30 yards out, gives it to Bellingham to his left, Chilwell, and then Bellingham again curls the ball high into the box, comes off the defender's head, Matvienko, but just drops into the gloves of his goalkeeper in the 6-yard box.
Yeah, he tried to head it away, Matvienko tried to get up and punch that ball away, but he didn't get high enough, and luckily he just glanced it and it just skimmed off his head straight into Bushgan's hands, which was very fortunate. But under a lot of pressure at the moment, that Ukraine back four, they've got to get their distances, the detailing, their positioning off one another. It's got to be perfect, because you just know a Maddison or a Bellingham, the form he's in, any little misjudgment in terms of that distance is going to get exploited.
Ukraine 0, England 0. And the ball at the back with Ilya Zabani of Bournemouth, and then to his left to Mykola Matvienko, and now Jorge Sudakov has dropped deep for it. The expectation is that he's going to be one of the next big Ukrainian stars, the number 8 Sudakov, Ball bounces down into the right back area. Walker on the turn has just sliced it straight up in the air. Mudryk wins a header, and then it's hooked in field to Zinchenko, and now Sudakov is going to take it on. Listen to this support now. This is what they wanted. Tsihanov on the right hand side. Oh, hits Sudakov with his pass and it bounces back. However, Ukraine, this is virtually their first foray forwards, and we're in the 20th minute of the match. They've been right up against it, but we saw the effect and we heard it as well. The body of support that there is inside this stadium for Ukraine. It's with the home side, in inverted commas, on the halfway line. Then a pass out to Mykolenko. Mykolenko beats Saka, plays it into the area. That was only half cleared in the middle, and that could have gone anywhere. Was that off Maguire? Rice and Maguire were together, but it was off Rice, but it bounced back for Pickford.
Yeah, it was a real miscue from Declan Rice. It was an awkward ball to deal with. The cross comes in and he's on his right foot trying to hook the ball away, but he just gets poor contact and it just kind of lands down nearly at the feet of Mudryk. Luckily, I think it was Kyle Walker just got his body in the way and just shepherded the ball back to Jordan Pickford.
So it is still 0-0. For all this possession, actually, Jorge Buschan, the goalkeeper, has yet to have a proper save to make. And it's Ukraine who are coming forward, and again it is Sudakov, but Bellingham dives in, cuts out the pass. Maddison has gone down in there as well, and he's come out worst. And then the Ukrainian player who's involved has just dropped down onto his back as well and put his hands on his face. So referee Kabakov is going to come across, and he's got a yellow card in his hand, and I think it is going to be a booking, the first yellow of the match for the Ukrainian captain Taras Stepanenko. There it is, yellow card.
It's just followed through a little bit on James Maddison. I mean, I think that's a little bit harsh because the ball was loose and he had a right to go for it, but Maddison just towed it away. It was a little bit scrappy in the middle of the park there. Jude Bellingham just trying to tow the ball away, just to get away from the defender, as opposed to really seal possession of the ball, and it just got loose. Maddison was in there. He wins the ball though, in fairness to Stepanenko, and just kind of traps Maddison's leg. It's a little bit harsh, that yellow card.
For Stepanenko, the captain of Shakhtar Donetsk, the Ukrainian champions. Ball back with Pickford in the England goal. Socks, black socks, quite low. Pickford runs the ball out, and then it's a long left-footed pass to Saka. Lovely touch from him, shielding it from Mykolenko, who got a touch to put it out of play. He's still not happy, Bukayo Saka. He is hobbling as he's just running after the ball there.
I think that was another bump there though, John. Whether or not he's on the same spot, I'm not too sure, but I'm just looking down for activity off the bench in terms of if he is struggling, the bench would know about it and they'd have someone warming up.
And they haven't. Ukraine 0, England 0. Had a chance to speak to Bukayo Saka earlier this week on what actually was his 22nd birthday. He said everybody had wished him many happy returns, but nobody bought him a present, which I was quite surprised by. As Ukraine break forward down the right-hand side, and now here is Tsihankov. Little ball into the middle to Zinchenko, but Zinchenko overhits his pass. He was trying to play a diagonal ball out towards the right-hand side, but Yaremchuk couldn't get there, and it just all rolled harmlessly through for a goal kick, 0-0.
Yeah, it might have been a nice touch if you'd have took him a little something.
We did. We gave him.
Yeah.
We gave him George Cummins was our producer that day, and George pilfered a muffin from the media dining area, and we presented it to him. He wasn't terribly impressed.
Is that a present?
Well, it's the best we
I don't
could
know
do
if it classes
for the circumstances. Here's Rice on the edge of the penalty area. Anyway, that interview, you might have heard it on 5 Live, but it was also on Football Focus today, if you want to go back and watch that. Ben Chilwell and Bukayo Saka. Here is Maguire playing the ball back to Pickford. Pickford, long pass through the middle, but that's right onto the chest of Zabani, who's able to play it forward. It comes back over there onto the far side to the red-headed right back, Konoplia. Now Bellingham, one, he might have just been caught there. No, he wasn't. It was a clean challenge. Ukraine back in possession. They are coming more into the game now, midway through the first half. Sun's still shining, warm sun. Temperature will be well up into the 20s. And now Konoplia on the right-hand side. Little ball to the edge of the penalty area. Maddison trying to get back. Across comes the ball. It was cleared away by Jordan Henderson, who was in there. And then finally cleared away by Chilwell, who just volleys it out of play for a throw into Ukraine halfway inside the England half.
Well, they eventually get Tsihankov on the ball who's a really exciting talent, and he just crosses the ball very early with his right foot, just fizzes it across, kind of level with the penalty spot, but enough England defenders in there just to deal with it. But you're right, the moment the ball goes wide and they've got a full-back or a wide player just with a bit of space in front of them, the stadium just lifts, doesn't it? With that expectation something might happen.
Yeah, Victor Tsihankov, who plays his football in Spain with Girona, who've made a very good start. Currently second in the early stages of the league season in Spain. Ball is back with Ukraine. And back it goes to goalkeeper Bushchan, the Dynamo Kiev goalkeeper. Clearance from him. Now here is Sudakov. Sudakov wriggles away from Saka, still in the centre circle though. Now here is Tsihankov, the favourite, the big favourite, slips it forward to Konoplyanka. He pulls it back, and it's fired into the net. And listen to this noise. This is Ukraine scoring against England, and it is Alexander Zinchenko of Arsenal who tucked it away. What a story that is. This is the biggest crowd that Ukraine have played in front of since the Russian invasion, and then it's an explosion of noise inside the ground. First chance of the match, and it's Ukraine who are in front, and it's Alexander Zinchenko. Ukraine 1, England 0, and that's quite the setback for Gareth Southgate and his team.
Wow, was Gareth Southgate right about being worried about this counter-attacking team? Because that is a superbly worked goal from Ukraine. Really was. We just mentioned about getting it wide. If they've got a fullback on the overlap, it lifts the crowd, and that's exactly what happened. The right back position on the overlap with the left-footed inverted winger of Tsihankov driving inside with the ball, releases it perfectly outside to the right back who's on the overlap, and it's a really good early cross. Just hits an area, John. Doesn't get his head up to pick someone out, just bangs it across that 6-yard box line, and there's Zinchenko. Arrives bang on cue, simple tapping with his left foot, side-footed into the bottom corner. Really good goal on the counter.
So Alexander Zinchenko, one of the English-based Ukrainian internationals. We know him so well from his time at Manchester City, and now such an important player for Mikel Arteta at Arsenal. Not scored for Ukraine since 2021. But there we are, 1-0, arriving onto the ball in between the 6-yard box and the penalty spot, and just driving it in with his left foot. Nothing Pickford could do about that. And certainly there was an element of the English defence at 6s and 7s there.
Well, we've just almost been lured into being so comfortable in possession that when that ball turned over, just weren't quite in the shape that we needed to be in. The overload from the right back made the difference.
However, Kane plays it through to Henderson. Henderson tried to work it back to Maddison, but defenders were in there, and it was cleared out for a throw on the right-hand side. So we have a story here. Ukraine 1, England 0. It's only the second goal that England have conceded in this group. The other was in Naples against Italy, when England hung on for the opening win, their first match in the group back in March. So it's been plain sailing for England so far in this group, but not now. Bellingham though does well, comes out with the ball on the left. Maddison plays it in, bounces to Saka. Saka lays it back, and then the shot on the edge of the area. He was actually stretching for it, Jordan Henderson, and also there were a couple of defenders diving in, but the shot was scooped over the top of the bar from just outside the box.
Yeah, Ukraine are doing a good job of doing just enough, John. There's like loads of these little half openings that you feel are going to happen, but they've got a yellow shirt just about in the right position at full stretch, applying enough pressure on whoever's receiving the ball, and they've just got this energy out of possession. Obviously when you score a goal, it just lifts, and the atmosphere's lifting this stadium, but they're doing a good defensive job at the moment.
Ukraine 1, England 0, with almost half an hour played. England just went rather more direct there in that last attack.
Yeah, it's had a feeling of being a little bit over elaborate maybe at times. A lot of interchange, a lot of 1-2 passing.
Here's Konoplia again, the right back who set up the opening goal. Plays it through to the edge of the penalty area. Yaremchuk is after that, but he's adjudged to have nudged over Mark Gay, and it is a free kick to England on the edge of their own penalty area. So England 1-0 down. Italy play away in Skopje against North Macedonia tonight. And England with Harry Maguire at the back to Gay. Now forward to Chilwell, who's still just inside his own half. Moves over the halfway line, but then turns. Knopfler in front of him, and it goes back for England to start again in central defence. Maguire and Gay. Gay low ball through the middle. This is for Maddison. Maddison with his back to goal. Tries to play it out to the right-hand side, but Mykolenko gets a magnificent evasion from the supporters in the stand down to our right for simply sliding in and putting the ball out of play ahead of Saka. Throw in for England. And certainly the noise, I hope it came across to you wherever you're listening to us, whether you're in the car or the kitchen, wherever you happen to be. But what a noise it was when Zinchenko planted that shot into the back of the English net. Here is Bellingham, who gets the ball back from Chilwell, but it was slightly behind him, so has to go back through Declan Rice. And it's now the Arsenal man, Declan Rice, who carries the ball forward and to the right, gives it to Walker. Walker curls an early ball into the penalty area, couldn't reach Kane, it was headed away, headed out to Rice. He takes it down, gives it to his left to Bellingham. Chilwell's now advancing towards the penalty area. Kane is there as well. Kane runs across the corner of the box, tried to cross, but that was blocked. Back to Chilwell again on the left-hand side. Chilwell's ball into the penalty area, only half cleared away. It's very congested inside the Ukraine penalty area. And then a foul for a challenge on Hancock by Jude Bellingham, and it's a free kick to Ukraine halfway inside their own half.
Yeah, frustrated reaction there from Jude Bellingham as he commits that foul. Felt he won the ball, but referee spot on with his position, and I think he just contacted the man before the ball, kind of slid alongside and just went through the side of him to win it, even though he does get a good foot on the ball. But England frustrated here.
So England 1-0 down. This is an unfamiliar feeling. England, who've lost only one of their last 10 internationals. That, of course, the World Cup quarter-final against France in Qatar. England coming forward. Saka, though, gives it back behind him to Walker, and then Walker has to stop because Zinchenko, his former teammate, comes up against him. So Rice then goes for a long pass. Chilwell chests that down on the left-hand side. Good movement inside the penalty area. Maddison wanted it, but Chilwell goes back centrally to Rice. Rice now curls the ball into the penalty area. He was looking for the run, actually, of Kyle Walker, but it was headed away. Then stabbed forward towards the edge of the penalty area. That was a hurried clearance, and it will bounce out. Actually, it'll be kept in here by Mykolenko, who makes sure it doesn't bounce out for a corner, but he hoists the ball into the stands for a throw-in to England. Less than 15 minutes of the first half to go. England, who remarkably, in terms of World Cup and European Championship qualifying matches, so in the groups, England have lost one of their last 61 of them. But they're losing here. Walker is going to take this. Henderson comes short, Maddison comes short, but Walker hurls it back towards the halfway line to Mark Gay, who is actually being put under pressure by Yaremchuk and has to pass it all the way back to goalkeeper Pickford. England going from a throw-in near the corner flag at one end back to their own goalkeeper. Now Harry Maguire on the right-hand side, but then back to Mark Gay again. What England do have is, with Rashford not included in the starting lineup and Phil Foden as well, the potential of two very effective substitutes should it stay like this. Ball forward towards Chilwell on the left-hand side, but Knopfler is able to come across. Oh, that's a poor clearance. He cleared it into Chilwell. The ball's still in play in the Ukrainian defensive third, and Maddison's onto it, and Maddison turns into the challenge, but the referee's not having that. Maddison can't believe it, puts his hands on his head that he wasn't given a free kick for that. Ukraine still can't clear it, and actually England have got it back, and then Knopfler puts in a challenge on Bellingham to take the ball away from him. That was committed. Ball still deep in Ukrainian territory, and then a turn from Zabani, who was kicked by Maddison, and that's a free kick, and I think that will be a yellow card for Maddison, and there was a touch of frustration in that for him. Yes, yellow card.
Yes, slick turn from Zabani, really composed defending in his own box, just drops a shoulder and turns out the other way, really does sell it. And so I think it's Jude Bellingham who's putting the pressure on him. but then Maddison slides in and just catches him from behind, doesn't win the ball. And I think you're right, John, it's frustration from not having that foul earlier, which maybe he would have been given that foul, but he just looked like he was looking for it too much. You know, he kind of just put his body there and waited for the contact and then went down, and I don't think the referee took too kindly to it.
It's a poor challenge actually from Maddison now.
Yeah.
The ball had gone and he went in and caught Zabani around the ankle.
Yeah. That's a definite yellow card.
Definite yellow card. And you know, Gareth Southgate will make a note of that.
Yeah.
You know, a cheap yellow card.
A little loss of composure there.
Yeah, loss of composure. And England need composure here now. 1-0 down. Ukraine 1, England 0. Commentary to come on England-Argentina. That will be live from Marseille this evening. I bet it's hot in Marseille tonight. So that from 8 o'clock. Chris Jones, Matt Dawson and Chris Ashton, your commentary team. But this is the European Championship qualifiers, and England have hit a bump in the road here in Wrocław. The ball comes back to Matvienko, left-sided central defender. His clearance headed forward for England by Henderson, and now Bellingham plays it into the edge of the penalty area, but a poor touch from Maddison, a good touch, and he would have been in on goal there, but Ukraine clear.
I mean, that's a real opportunity. Jude Bellingham turned and saw the space. Maybe could have got that pass in there a fraction quicker. It's the only thing that might have just helped Maddison, but his timing of his run was good and he was in, but he just couldn't caress the ball into his path and got stuck under his feet. But it just opened up there, didn't it? All of a sudden there was a big opening right through the middle of the Ukraine defence.
There is a wave sweeping around the ground now, and as they do so, they're actually holding up their Ukrainian flags. And it's actually quite effective seeing those flags go up as it sweeps all the way around this large stadium. One level all the way around. Stands close to the pitch. Pitch seems to be holding up as well. There was a little bit of concern after the boxing took place here a fortnight ago. Here is Gay, then forward to Maddison, and now ball played forward by Walker, bounces off Bellingham, comes back for Ukraine, who will look to break away. They do with their big number 9 Yaremchuk, the Valencia man, who's bundled over and wins a free kick from Jordan Henderson on the halfway line.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing there, Jordan Henderson. Yaremchuk had the channel in his sights. He was just going to run the ball down that left channel, and Henderson comes across and just shoulder to shoulder bumps him to the ground. It's actually a good free kick that he gives away there for England. Doesn't get a booking, but just breaks up the plane, stops that counter-attack.
The one England player, by the way, on the field who is a yellow card away from being suspended for the next qualifier is Declan Rice. And here is Declan Rice. The ball bounces off him. Zinchenko, the goal scorer, is in there. Yaremchuk keeps possession now. Mikolenko, and back it goes to Matvienko. Sudikov has dropped deep. The Shakhtar Donetsk 21-year-old, 21 last week. Sudikov, then back to Zinchenko. Mikolenko. This is much better from Ukraine. Obviously they've taken great confidence from the opening goal and they've settled into the match, whereas England have gone off the boil. Sudikov, Mikolenko again, and then back to the halfway line to the fair head, Zinchenko, who just moves across almost right along the halfway line and gives it out to the right-hand side, and then Zabani will play it back through central defence, and Matvienko will bring it forward. Just shuffles it forward with his left foot, but then plays the ball out to the right-hand side, but that is significantly behind Sihankov, who had to scamper back and keep possession. Now Zinchenko again. Zinchenko uses Sihankov. Now Konoplia, that's the connection that led to the opening goal. Yaremchuk plays it to the right to Konoplia, but Mark Gay does well, uses his body just to shepherd it behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, that's the connection, that's the biggest threat as well, John. They look useful together, good timing of the run. Konoplia on the outside, and with Sihankov just wanting to come inside using his left foot. He's a clever player. He just draws defenders in close, and then the timing of his release out wide or inside the pitch is very well timed. It's a real threat, that right-hand side for Ukraine.
The score is Ukraine 1, England 0. This is 5 Live, BBC Sounds as well, if you're on the move. And Serhii Rebrov just goes and sits down. It's only his 4th match in charge, took over at the end of last season. He was working in the United Arab Emirates, actually, Serhii Rebrov. But once he reached the end of the season, he moved into this job, 1-2 and got a 3-3 draw in Germany.
I mean, talk about a coach that's gone and got a wealth of knowledge in different countries. I think he's won the titles in 4 different ones, hasn't he? UAE, Saudi Arabia, obviously Ukraine, and the other one, Hungary, that's right.
Yeah, Ferencváros.
So that's a wealth of experiences in different football.
Yeah, and one of Ukraine's most famous names, the great partnership, Rebrov and Shevchenko. Here's Maguire. Maguire just playing the ball to his left. Now Gay again. And then Chilwell's available on the left-hand side. Chilwell. Kane. Dropping very deep, as we've seen him do so much for Tottenham and England. The theory was that he would be doing less of that as a Bayern Munich player, but he's certainly doing it for England here. And Kane's pass. That's excellent. Into Walker. Walker scores. 1-1. And Kyle Walker scores his very first goal for England in his 77th appearance. He's waited a long time for that, but what a pass to set it up from Harry Kane near the halfway line, and Walker bombing forward took a really good touch, and then I think there was a little element of stage fright in there, but he almost couldn't miss, and he drove it past Bush-Chan to make it Ukraine 1, England 1.
That's an important goal as well from Kyle Walker. Might be his first, but
there is a VAR check.
It looked onside to me, but the ball travelling. It did look on.
Yeah, it looked on to me.
But obviously, you never can tell until the lines are drawn. It could be a very tight one. But you were just mentioning about them not wanting Harry Kane in that position. Well, you certainly want him in that deep roll position when he pulls a pass out like that. What a ball that was with his right foot, curled to perfection down the right-hand side.
I think he might be on. I think the right-sided centre, I think it's Zabani who is playing him on. Mind you, after we were at Arsenal last Sunday, I'm not going to commit myself here. And the check is over. Cheers from the England fans, and Kyle Walker will be able to talk to him. That is a racing certainty that Kyle Walker will be talking to us post-match, as long as things continue to go well for England, having scored his first goal finally in his 77th appearance for England.
I mean, the hardest bit was just prodding it home, wasn't it? There was a little pause where he was through on goal, and he just had a bit of time to make that decision. And he did finish it well, just kind of was safe and just prodded it into the back of the net.
Kyle Walker scoring in the 41st minute. It's just a stoppage here in the centre circle.
A yellow card as well, I think, for a Ukrainian player. Maybe it might have been Yaremchuk.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah,
it's a bad tackle. Goes in late on Jordan Henderson.
But Henderson's okay, although he's looking over his shoulder at Yaremchuk. Yeah, I don't think he was best pleased with that at all. So back at 1-1, just stepped on him, just stepped on his foot, and fortunately he's okay. So England back level, important before half-time.
Very.
Because Ukraine were much improved.
Very. I mean, it's an important goal because their game plan is to sit deep, soak up pressure, just hit little short, sharp counter-attacks, and they've shown they can be good at that already in this game. And I think getting that goal just allows England to feel a little bit more comfortable if it goes in the same as this at half-time.
As England win the ball back from Zinchenko, but illegally. That was a foul by Henderson, and it's a free kick. James Maddison's got more to say to the referee as Ukraine sort themselves for this free kick. So 1-1 the score, and we're in the 44th minute of the first half. Kyle Walker, the oldest man in the England squad currently, 33 years old now. And the talk is that there will be a new contract. I think he was speaking, wasn't he, last weekend after the Manchester City match, and suggested that that would be the case. So we'll see about that. All came from that meeting in the restaurant with Pep Guardiola. It looked as though he was going to be Bayern Munich bound. They spent, I think it was a Friday night, in a restaurant together. Pep Guardiola did all the talking. He's still a Manchester City player, such an important player as well. Captained the team regularly in the absence of Kevin De Bruyne. And now he's scored his first goal for England. Here is Mykolenko for Ukraine, but under pressure gives it away. Goal scorer Walker in field. Maddison's chasing this, but Konoplia is able to take it on and it's hit away to the halfway line by Matvienko. England come again. Madison going one way, then the other. Over on that left-hand side, Zabani was out there with him, and England through Madison go back towards the halfway line. You'll see the fourth official's electronic board very shortly. He's just punching in the number. Madison back to the halfway line. What about the inclusion of Madison then, Matt, instead of Rashford, do you think? As the ball's played up towards Kane near the edge of the area, bounces away from him, and Konoplia is able to clear. Here's Yaremchuk. First time ball back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko hits a long pass from Mudryk to chase, but Pickford comfortably out of the penalty area, getting there first. Even was able to do a little dummy as he came towards it, and then passed it carefully around Mudryk.
That was very Jordan Pickford, wasn't it? Read it so early though, John. His starting point and the way he saw that and judged the bounce and the flight of that ball was absolutely spot on. And you're right, he just doesn't come through and panic and try and just smash the ball into the top of the stand. He even just finds that little cushion pass as well.
Oh, lovely from Saka, lovely touch and skill. Passes it to the back post. Kane heads it back across the 6-yard area, but no one in England red could get there, and it bounced all the way back across and behind for a goal kick. But excellent play from Saka.
Yeah, good cross and perfect little header from Kane. He couldn't do much with that. He's backpedaling outside of the back post, but he's just used his intelligence there just to pop that ball back across the goal, hoping somebody might just arrive at the opposite post. But unfortunately Bellingham was central. It goes over his head and there's no one there just to get a touch on the ball.
So Ukraine won, England won. Half-time, more build-up to England's opening match at the Rugby Union World Cup. And there is the half-time whistle here in Wrocław. And England have got themselves out of a little bit of a hole there, having dominated the early stages. But then Ukraine scored with what I think was the first attempt on target in the match. On the counter-attack, Alexander Zinchenko arriving to tuck it away in the 26th minute. But England drawing level after Harry Kane set up Kyle Walker, who was bursting through into the penalty area to control it and finish it from just outside the 6-yard box. So it's 1-1, Matthew Upson.
Yeah, interesting game. Two teams with very opposite, contrasting styles. In one wanting to have the ball, England loads of possession, probably 70-75% of possession in this first half. But Ukraine looking dangerous on the counter and soaking up that pressure. And I think you're going to see much more of that in the second half.
So there we are. Ukraine won, England won is the half-time score here.
Thank you, John. Matt, the phrase you used, I thought very aptly for the opening goal for Ukraine, was that England were lured into a trap in conceding that goal.
That's how it felt, you know, just so comfortable. When you have a lot of the possession, obviously you're going to be more spread. You're comfortable. They barely misplaced the pass all first half in terms of in those important areas and keeping possession. So they're in such comfortable in possession shape that the moment it turns over, Ali, if you're not sharp getting back into position, or if Ukraine are quick with the way they want to hit you, there's a little bit of space to exploit, and they did it brilliantly.
Timely equaliser obviously from Kyle Walker, given the way the game was going.
Yep.
And John just said there, his first international goal. I just wonder, it's one of those that Pep Guardiola might just have a little look at in terms of the attacking prowess of Kyle Walker.
Yeah, I mean, it's normally Saka in that high position making that run from out to in, but he found himself up there. But what a pass from Harry Kane there, hey? I mean, it's nice to see him in the box because we want him scoring goals, but he can be a creator from that position. He's shown it many, many times. And it just shows you have all that possession, you have all those lovely little interchanges and 1-2s. It looks all good, but you can't beat that really decisive pass, can you? It just cuts through a midfield and defence like Kane's ball. It was inch perfect, and all credit to Walker for making that run as well.
Thank you, Matt. Looking forward to the second half then. Full commentary of that on the way here on 5 Live Sport. Half-time, Ukraine 1, England 1. Former England international Matt Upson alongside our football correspondent John Murray. Back to Wrocław. Kyle Walker's goal just before half-time makes it at half-time Ukraine 1, England 1. Former England international Matt Upson alongside our football correspondent John Murray.
Yes, thank you, Ali. No changes for England in the warmth of Wrocław at half-time, but Ukraine are making a change, and they're taking off the left-sided central defender Mykola Matvienko, and they're bringing on the very experienced, 32 years old he is, Serhii Krivtsov to play there. So the big number 4, quite rugged looking, actually plays in America with Lionel Messi at Inter Miami, but he's on the field now to win his 33rd cap. The second half begins. England 1-1 after Kyle Walker, the unlikely scorer of England's equaliser shortly before half-time, and Krivtsov had to be sharp there after the throw-in to him on the edge of his own box, and he was nearly out-muscled by Bellingham, but Ukraine were able to recover. Welcome to the game, Serhi.
Yeah, that was thanks for that one, thrown at me from a throw-in. I think it was Knopfler, wasn't it? Threw it in really awkwardly into Krivtsov, just come on, and he had to just kind of shin it up in the air, didn't he, just to get it away from the edge of the box. He was right under pressure.
So that is England World Cup defender Matthew Upson with us here in the stadium for the commentary. We're watching Yaremchuk for Ukraine. Then the ball is played out by Zinchenko to the left-hand side. Mudryk makes a run. Mikolenko on the ball though, the Everton man, the left back. Not seen much action, Mikolenko, for Everton so far this season. Just the one appearance in that Carabao Cup match against Doncaster Rovers, you might have heard on 5 Live the other week. So 1-1 the score after Zinchenko gave Ukraine the lead. The Ukraine team, Bushchan's the goalkeeper, a back 4 of Konoplia, Zabani of Bournemouth, Krivtsov the substitute, and Mikolenko as Gay comes across and is able to take possession of the ball for England and prevent it from reaching Yaremchuk. And the rest of the Ukrainian team, Stepanenko the captain in midfield with Sudakov and Zinchenko, not a bad midfield that, and Sihankov on the right, Mudryk of Chelsea on the left, and Yaremchuk of Valencia through the middle. And England, as they started, Pickford in goal, Walker, Maguire, Gay and Chilwell are the back 4, Rice with Jordan Henderson and Jude Bellingham, and then Saka, Kane and Maddison the front line. So Marcus Rashford and Phil Foden are among the England substitutes. No Eddie Nketiah, if you didn't hear that earlier. He was the player who had to be left out of the 23 that you have to name on the morning of a European Championship qualifier. But I suspect he might be involved on Tuesday night. You'll hear that from Hampden. Could be quite a game that, Scotland against England. So that's Tuesday night, but here on Saturday night, it's Maddison coming forward for Engel. Angles the ball in, and Bellingham underneath it near the penalty spot. Headed it goalwards, but didn't get any power or direction on it, and goalkeeper Bushchan was able to pat it away.
Yeah, slightly mistimed, wasn't it, from Bellingham. Leaps and gets up, hangs really late, but just mistimes the punch of the ball with his head. Doesn't get the power or the contact he wants, but another good example of the licence he has just to arrive in that box. And when he does get there, he is pretty good in the air, John. I like the way he attacks the ball, Bellingham. He's got quite a good leap and a hang time on him when he gets up there. He's more than capable of scoring a few headers from midfield.
Yep, still just the 1 goal for England. That first goal that England scored at the World Cup in Qatar in the big win against Iran. Ukraine 1, England 1. A big cheer there. What you should know is, if you've just switched on, there's a very strong following for Ukraine here. Big Ukrainian community in this part of the world. 40,000 Ukrainian fans in, and they are absolutely desperate to watch their team do anything. So there was a huge cheer there when Mudryk was sent away down the left wing, but Harry Maguire was the big favourite to get there and slid in and put it out of play for a throw. England now with the ball back with Gay. Mark Gay coming forward towards the midway point of the Ukrainian half. Then a quick pass out to Chilwell on the left-hand side. Back it comes though, behind him to Bellingham. And then England again with Declan Rice just forward of the centre circle. Rice curls a low pass out to his new clubmate Saka, but Saka's pass doesn't find Kane. And it runs away through and behind. Henderson it was chasing it through and behind for a goal kick to Ukraine. 1-1.
Yeah, just too much weight on that pass from Saka. Normally gets those spot on, but it was good pressure from Mikolenko at left back. Really got out quickly just to apply pressure to his first touch and just made him overhit that pass for the overlapping run of, I think it was Henderson, wasn't it, on the overlap?
Yeah. Bukayo Saka, who is named as England's player of the year for the second consecutive year, the men's international player of the year. Henderson sweeping it forward for England, but that's asking a lot of Maddison to reach that. At what stage do you think Gareth Southgate's going to be thinking about those changes? Because you would think that we would see Rashford and Foden, wouldn't we?
Well, I honestly think that dependent on how the game's going in the next 10-15 minutes, John, to be honest. I think he's just happy with his team that's settled. They know what they're doing. They've got themselves back in the game. And I think this little window after half-time, the first 15-20 minutes, and then he'll see how the game's feeling, how it looks.
Harry Kane wins a free kick here. That was clever from the England captain. He drew the foul from the big Krivtsov, the substitute, just challenged him from behind, and Harry Kane just made sure he felt the contact, went down, and England have a free kick then, which is slightly left of centre. This is between 35 and 40 yards out, Matt.
It's a long way out, isn't it? I mean, it looks as though Maddison's lining up for a shot, but it's going to have to be some effort.
This would be optimistic, but he plays it square, Maddison. To England goal scorer Walker. Walker plays it in. Maguire with the header, but that lands on the roof of the net. Arriving, yeah, that's right off the training ground, that move. Maguire just couldn't keep the header down.
Nice set play. Ball passed square initially from Maddison, and then Maguire just peels round to the back post for the cross, and the ball is absolutely perfect, really. Gets full contact on it, but he just doesn't guide the header. It's an inaccurate header from Harry Maguire, and he just loops it over the bar. He should be punching that back across goal, because there was 2 or 3 England players, Gehi as well, arriving in that far post area. Any good header would have been a really dangerous situation.
Well, Maguire has been caught by Mudryk there. It was a ball pumped forward, and Maguire was always going to get there first. He had to put a sprint in. He did get there first, but Mudryk late on it caught him.
Yeah, well, if he's dangled a leg in there, Mudryk, then that for me is a yellow card. I think he's just trod on his foot, John, as he's followed through. Maybe accidental from Mudryk as he puts the brakes on because he knows he's not going to get there. I think he just catches Harry Maguire on the foot with his studs.
Ukraine 1, England 1 on what is a really busy night of live sport on 5 Live, with England against Argentina to come. As soon as we're done here, we'll be handing it across to Sonia McLaughlin, who is in Marseille with the rest of our commentary team, and you will hear England's opening match from 8 o'clock, an 8 o'clock kickoff UK time. And then immediately after that, it's the final of the US Open between Coco Gauff and Arina Sabalenka. England coming forward. Here is Saka. Saka now looking for the overlap there, which is Henderson. Ball driven in from the right, and goalkeeper Bushchan diving for it in the 6-yard box. Got a palm to it. Could have gone anyway. He could have palmed it straight to Bellingham, actually, but it was a defender who got the touch to put it behind.
Yeah, this all comes from a really good pass from Gehi. Breaks the lines into midfield. Maddison drops in, receives it on his back foot. He's turned. The ball's wide, and it's almost a carbon copy of the goal that Ukraine scored with the overlapping run. But nobody on the end of the cross, unfortunately, for England.
This is better from England in the second half. England lots of possession in the first half, but very little end product. This is their first corner of the match, and I think England's only attempt on target so far was the goal that Walker scored. Maddison with a corner from the left-hand side, in-swing it to the back post. Maguire gets to it, could only shovel it up in the air, punched away by the goalkeeper. Mudryk gets a touch inside his own penalty area, and Mudryk is able to play it forward for Zinchenko, and now Ukraine are off on the counter-attack. The ball played forward for Tsihankov to chase, but England had defenders there, both Chilwell and Walker, and it was Walker who was able to take the ball away and play it back to Pickford.
I just love watching Kyle Walker cover those vast areas of grass. It's almost like he's looking at it going, please put it in there, go on, stick it in there, let me show that I've still got the pace that everyone knows I have. And he's just such a good covering defender, isn't he? You're more than happy to leave him at the back when there's a set play, and he'll just deal with those big areas of space if the ball gets put in there.
So 1-1, Saka receiving the ball to his feet on the right hand side. Saka turns, plays a low ball in, that was good. Maddison, just a heavy touch there, got away from him just outside the box, and again Ukraine are interested on the counter-attack, but actually Sudakov didn't want to commit the pass downfield, and so turned, and the chance to counter-attack was gone, and Rice is now playing the ball all the way back to goalkeeper Pickford. The England fans are in that sort of triangular section on the far side in the corner of the ground. England flags draped all around the lower part of that section, and they're watching England in possession with Rice, and then across towards Maguire. Had another chance there from that latest ball into the penalty area, Harry Maguire. As Bellingham stretches his legs, drops back into his own half. Jude Bellingham Then to Harry Maguire, who's going to hit the long pass. He does. Long ball. That is a stretch for Chilwell, who got there actually on the full stretch with his left foot, but it could only send the ball through for a goal kick.
There's a simpler feel about England in the second half. A lot of intricate passing in the first half, and really nice on the eye, and individual moments of great first touch or little bits of skill, really lovely, but maybe not the product that they would have wanted. And they've just smartened it up a little bit in this second half. A lot more decisive, longer passes into areas, a bit more direct, and maybe needed a bit of that.
Well, Tsiankov was almost onto that. He's headed away by Chilwell. Now Mudryk into the penalty area, but he lost control of the ball. It bounced away from him, and Harry Maguire was able to come across and just volley it out of play. Throw in though to Ukraine near the edge of the England penalty area. Ukraine, who took the lead in the first half through Zinchenko before Kyle Walker equalised shortly before the break. Kyle Walker, who has become, incidentally, the 450th different man to score for England. Throw-in, taken down the line to Tsiankov, his cross, that was blocked, back to the Ukrainian. Chilwell's in there as well, so is Declan Rice, and Declan Rice begins to run it away and then passes it to Bellingham, and then Bellingham's ball doesn't find Rice, it's given away to Zinchenko. Zinchenko now sets up the shot from the edge of the area from Sudakov, who was on the fall actually, and also had the recovering Declan Rice coming across, and so in the end really sliced it well wide of the goal and behind.
Yeah, really threw himself at that Declan Rice. Just couldn't quite get to the return pass from Bellingham, but the moment that ball was lined up, he knew he just had to get his body there, try and be as big as what he could. He really does throw himself out to the edge of the box and puts a lot of pressure on that shot, which was skewed well wide.
The Ukrainian supporters again crank up the noise, lifted by that latest attempt on goal from Ukraine. They've come to enjoy themselves here tonight, and why not? You can't blame them, can you? Any little piece of enjoyment that they can have with the situation. To say, you know, fascinating to know how many people inside this stadium, round about 40,000, have been directly affected by the war in their homeland.
Well, I'd say that it's filled up a little bit more since the start of the game. I mean, it looks relatively full now, maybe 80%.
Yeah. Here is Maddison for England. James Maddison turns. Little ball through towards the edge of the area. Kane was fouled again. That's a second foul by Krivtsov. Free kick in a similar position. Kane takes it early, but actually Mudryk was back in possession. Saka and Henderson together. Henderson turns it back. Walker's ball through. Nice touch from Saka. Tried to give a little ball back to the arriving Jude Bellingham, but defenders were in place. Now Henderson again, Walker, then Bellingham turns, slips it through. Saka goes for the byline, cuts it back, but across comes Konoplia to volley it away. And in fact the offside flag was up against Saka. It's one of those late flags, so a free kick to Ukraine. 1-1.
Yeah, lovely play, him and Bellingham, Saka and Bellingham, good understanding. Just a fraction early, just the wrong side Saka on that one, which put him offside, but Kane had a decision to make whether to go to the back post or go for the cutback. He opted for the back post, and Saka then cut the ball back into that area, so there was no threat in the end. But another little example of England just being a little bit more direct, John, a bit more decisive with their passing and simplifying things.
Konoplia actually presents the ball to Maddison. Maddison quickly through to Kane, 25 yards out. Kane now to Saka in the box on the right hand side. Saka, left foot shot, hits the crossbar. So close to 2-1 England that. Bellingham though has possession for England again. Now Rice, middle of the half, out to the right hand side. Henderson's there, he's got Walker behind him. Walker back to Henderson again. Jordan Henderson comes back in. Ukraine suddenly are right on the back foot here after that thrilling shot from Saka that cracked the Ukrainian crossbar. Still England possession.
What a save that was, John. It was a touch from the goalkeeper, I think. I have to see it back in the replay, but it looked like he certainly got a hand. I mean, if he tipped that onto the bar, that is some save from Bushkan.
And again, very similar to the goal that he scored against Ukraine at Wembley. Bukayo Saka. It was fiercely hit, and if he did get a touch, that's a classic fingertip save.
Yeah, I think it was a certain touch. He tipped that onto the bar, but he's so accurate from that range, Saka, isn't he? The moment he steps inside on that left foot, he has a couple of little hesitant shimmies, like fakes to shoot, and then when he comes to hit it, he's just bang on every time in that far post.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? They almost know that that's what he's going to do, but for some reason
still can't
stop him. Free kick. That England momentum has been slowed now because Ben Chilwell rather dived in and gave away a free kick. There was a challenge on Stepanenko in the middle of the half. It's actually on one of the areas, one of those big areas that have relayed grass, a huge rectangle, as a result of the boxing here a fortnight ago. Free kick to Ukraine. Beautiful evening now, I must say. The temperature to sit and watch the match. We've got a pale sky above. There's a sort of orangey sunset. We're not far away from the middle of the city. It's just a small city, this. Beautiful city, though. The Odra River flows majestically through the city centre. There's a series of islands there which are all linked by little bridges, some iron bridges, stone bridges. It's a beautiful place. Cobbled streets, spires. Here's Kane for England, carrying it forward, giving it to Saka on the right-hand side. Saka back to Jordan Henderson again, and now Walker on the right-hand side as England go back towards the halfway line. Rather naively, I was suggesting to you that Jordan Henderson might be the first England player to be substituted in this match, Matt, but you're not so sure.
I'm not so sure, because just how the game's poised, John, to be honest, and he's on the pitch for, game management, seeing these kind of things through, making sure England go home with something, a point, 3 points obviously preferably, but his influence on that pitch is key in these kind of moments.
Whether there was any reaction, incidentally, as Gay carries the ball forward for England. Gay plays the ball to the right-hand side. Here is Jordan Henderson. Jordan Henderson now moving in field, but it's quite congested there. Actually plays the ball all the way across the pitch to the left-hand side to Chilwell. Now Bellingham, 30 yards from goal. Declan Rice. Ukraine very much on the defensive here. Then Maddison, back to Gay. Now Chilwell again. This is like the opening period of the match, that first 20 minutes or so. England just trying to find a way through. But it's the end product that they need. Walker, low ball in towards the edge of the box. Maddison's there, then to Saka, back to Maddison. The angle is over on the right-hand side. Saka, though, dancing through into the penalty area, might open up, shoots left-footed, blocked by the defender. Krivtsov, there's a suggestion from the England players there that it might have struck the arm of Krivtsov as he was going to ground. So I suspect his arm might have been underneath him. Yeah. I'm not sure that would be given as a penalty.
No, it may well did strike his arm, but he's in a perfectly natural position. He's on the ground. He's getting out to block the ball, and it strikes his hand. To me, that's not a penalty if it does hit his hand.
Ukraine 1, England 1. England continue to press. Saka, then back to Chilwell. Could be the first drop points for England in this group. Henderson, a heavy touch from him, but England were able to pick up possession again. I beg your pardon, it was Maddison actually with a heavy touch. Now Harry Maguire, who's actually joined the collection of England players in the middle of the Ukrainian half. Walker infield towards Harry Kane, who just lifted it up in the air. That was an easy one for Ukraine to clear. As ever, they're looking for the counter-attack, but Chilwell prevents that. Chilwell to Kane. Kane left foot shot, but drags it wide of goal from just outside the area. He was moving from right to left, hit the shot left foot, and he slaps the surface of the pitch in frustration. Harry Kane, who's trying incidentally to become the first man to score in 7 consecutive England internationals. He scored goals in the last 6, and no one has done it in 7 England matches, one after the other. But that was White.
He likes a record, doesn't he?
He loves a record.
And do you think he keeps that under his hat a little bit, or do you think he actively seeks those, John? I mean, I think he's that type of animal, really, that just loves.
He loves the records,
breaking these records.
I'll tell you, Matt, what he wants now is a trophy.
Yeah,
I think he'd give all those records up for trophies.
But he may well get one.
Right, you would like to think so, certainly with Bayern Munich. We're going to see a rash of substitutions now. Well, Sudakov is coming off for Ukraine in the centre field. Sudakov is coming off, and so is Yaremchuk, so it's a double change for them now. These are changes 2 and 3 for Ukraine. So coming on, the number 5, Serhii Sidorchuk, who's just moved from Dynamo Kiev to Belgium to play for Westerlo, so he's greatly experienced. The number 5, 32 years old. And also coming on for Ukraine is Dovbyk up front, another of the Girona men, the 2 Girona players in this Ukrainian squad, just like Tsihankov on the right-hand side. So Dovbyk, it's maybe a close call as to who would start the match, but Dovbyk now coming on for his 19th cap.
Yeah, he's played Dovbyk a lot, maybe because of that connection with Tsihankov, both at Girona, both have a good understanding of each other, but he's started on the bench today and he gets his opportunity now.
And England making a couple of changes as well. So we are now seeing, for England, coming on, Marcus Rashford, with England with the ball at the back. Marcus Rashford and Phil Foden, both coming onto the field at the same time. And making way, Bellingham and Maddison. So Jude Bellingham substituted. Here is Mudryk as England lose possession. Bukayo Saka. Mudryk plays it into the penalty area, but that's cleared away by Gay on the edge of the box, and it will bounce out for a corner. This is Ukraine's first corner.
A bit of a miscue clearance then from Gay. Came to him and he just took a little bit of a swipe at that ball and was given a corner away. Doesn't take a lot to get the crowd on their feet in this stadium, and they're really anticipating this set piece.
So it is a corner from the left-hand side. The score, Ukraine 1, England 1. This is European Championship qualifying live on BBC Radio 5 Live. England defending the corner, which is fired into the near post, but Harry Kane was there to head it away for England, and the ball eventually bounces out of play for a throw-in to England halfway inside their own half. So then, Matt, we're going to see Foden in a central midfield position.
Yeah, good to see. I think he'll be maybe a little bit more central. It looks like he's lining up as a 10. So I think England might have just a slight tweak of that formation, possibly with Declan Rice and Jordan Henderson maybe just holding back a little bit and allowing Foden to be a little bit more advanced, but it's very dissimilar to what Bellingham was doing. And it's good to see Phil Foden. I think I love seeing him centrally. I think he's such a creative player.
Yeah. So let's see what that brings to England. But Ukraine 1, England 1, and it's Tsihankov down the right-hand side. Tsihankov takes it on, crosses, actually hits his own man, Konoplia, who'd made a run into the penalty area, and it bounced down for England to take it away. Rice tried to play it out off Konoplia for a throw-in, but Ukraine kept it in, and it's played back to the goalkeeper. So Phil Foden coming on for his 26th cap for England, and Marcus Rashford, perhaps a little surprisingly, left out of the starting lineup, is on to win his 54th. But it is Ukraine in possession, and Zinchenko turns and plays it back in field. Konoplia now through the middle towards the big man Dovbyk, who's even bigger than Yaremchuk. But now Rashford, as England break away, Rashford plays it down into the full-back position to Harry Kane. Kane has a defender with him. Kane takes the ball away towards the halfway line, back up the left wing, if you like, and then Gay gives it back to the England captain, Harry Kane. Low and square into the middle. Foden is there in that central position Matt Upson was talking about. Now Declan Rice, and a poor touch by Saka. Well, that's most unusual. And the ball just bounces off his left foot and out for a throw-in on the far side.
There's a couple of little loose touches from Saka. There's a couple from Bellingham in the first half as well. I mean, they've been good with the ball, England, but there's been some quite simple little mistakes just in possession.
And it is Ukraine now breaking forward with Mudryk, who carried the ball infield and straight into the path of Declan Rice, who said thank you very much, whipped the ball away off him, and eventually it found its way back to Pickford, who clears from the ground, but only to Stepanenko. Stepanenko uses Mikolenko, and now back into central defence to Krivtsov. So Ukraine 1, England 1, and we've played 68 minutes. England having won 4 out of 4 in this group, trying to do what Scotland have already done, winning 5 out of 5. But at the moment it would be their first drop points. Chilwell heading the ball forward. Foden's after it, bounces away. Zinchenko against his former Manchester City teammate. He gets it back from Tsihankov. Zinchenko approaching the penalty area, back to Tsihankov, and then the recovering Chilwell came in, got a touch on it. The referee's not sure whether that should be a corner or a goal kick. He looked to his assistant, who wasn't forthcoming, and in the end the decision goes Ukraine's way. Corner.
It looked like the right decision, to be honest. The trailing leg of Chilwell, I think, just catches that ball, but I mean, everything goes through Zinchenko with this team, doesn't it? We've seen how key he is for Arsenal in the Premier League, but when he gets on the ball in this Ukraine team, he really does make things happen.
Corner then for Ukraine. Tsihankov plays it into the near post, hits Kane, comes out, Mudryk on the edge of the penalty area, was challenged by Rashford, went flying. The referee says no free kick, and England now are away in a counter-attack with Bukayo Saka. Men making runs through the middle. Jordan Henderson and Foden's there. Kane then joins in. Kane into the area on the right. Low ball across. Defender was there to cut it out and block it behind for a corner.
Well, good refereeing and really good play from Marcus Rashford on the edge of the box. Does a really important defensive job just to tow the ball away from the oncoming Ukrainian player who was going to really latch onto that ball and hit a shot goalward through bodies. I think it might have been Mudryk, who's still down on the edge of the box, holding his ankle.
He's rolled into the penalty area, actually. Yeah. I mean, it was an important challenge by Rashford, and I have to say, with the naked eye, I felt it might have been a foul in the D for Ukraine, but the referee didn't see it that way.
No, I think he wins the ball, John. I think he gets a good chunk of the ball and then follows through with the contact onto Mudryk, which is why he's still down. But then England just trying to pounce on that with a quick counter-attack.
So we're waiting while Mudryk receives some treatment. The Chelsea man still sitting on the pitch. So Ukraine 1, England 1. Stay with us tonight. England-Argentina, England's first match at the Rugby Union World Cup. 5 Live is the place to listen to that, with Chris Jones, Matt Dawson and Chris Ashton, who'll be sitting right now, probably listening to us in that magnificent stadium in Marseille. I bet it's a sweaty night in Marseille as well. It is very warm here. Down in the southwest of Poland, not too far away from the Czech border. Mudryk is back up on his feet. He's going to come up the field, but it's an England corner to resume play, and it's headed goalwards by Harry Maguire, who is backing away at the back post, probably 10 yards out, and it was straight at the goalkeeper, who was able to catch it above his head.
You can't deny that he is a threat on corners and wide free kicks, Harry Maguire. I mean, he's a real target that England look to hit all the time, and so often he wins that first contact. He just hasn't had the ability just to guide that ball into real key areas, but he wins that one really well, tries to punch that ball back across the goal.
Still 1-1, and Declan Rice just motors back into position and touches the ball away from Dovbyk, and now Kyle Walker bringing the ball forward, scoring today in his 77th appearance for England, so he is the man with the most caps before finally scoring his first goal for England. So there's a little notch in the history books for Kyle Walker with that goal. Rashford down the left, but overbalances actually, loses his balance, and can only slice the ball straight out for a goal kick from near the dead ball line on the left hand side.
You're full of the records today, John, aren't you?
All courtesy of Gary to my right, who's been finding them.
Top research that.
Gary Flintoff will be going down after the match to speak to Gareth Southgate and the England players. Hopefully we'll get Gareth Southgate on live, and the other interviews you'll hear on tomorrow morning's 5 Live Football Daily podcast. Here is Kyle Walker, just beginning to get dark here. Ball played back towards the big figure of Harry Maguire. He's had a number of chances in the second half, actually, from set pieces now. I think that's 3 opportunities that he's had to perhaps get the goal that would nudge England in front. Walker out there to the right. Such a big week for Ukraine this, to play this match against England, and then on Tuesday night they go to Milan to play Italy, with Spalletti now in charge of the Italian team. They're away against North Macedonia this evening. Ball played in by Rashford from the left-hand side. It's headed back carefully by Mykolenko to his goalkeeper, with England players either side of him.
It's well poised at the moment, isn't it, this game? This really has kind of levelled out quite nicely, certainly since the substitutions. A little bit fresher on the pitch, there's a little bit more energy, a bit more movement, and both teams looking capable of snatching something.
It's Ukraine, but that's a wayward pass from Stepanenko. Mykolenko had to race out to keep it in play, then fired it forward. Maguire came across, then the ball is lifted high over the halfway line. Walker was underneath that, but his header in field has given the ball back to Zinchenko, and now Konoplia flying forward pass to Sihankov. Zinchenko 25 yards out, but under pressure, has to give it back closer to the halfway line. Sihankov drops away down the the right wing towards the halfway line. Now he plays it back into centre field. Krivtsov is there, and then Stepanenko, and then the ball on the right hand side with Ukraine, which is eventually deflected out for a throw in, and we will see another change for Ukraine. So coming off for Ukraine, Serhiy Rebrov is taking off Alexander Zinchenko, their goal scorer, from the midfield, which is where he generally operates for Ukraine. He comes across, shakes hands with the referee, and listen to this ovation. Listen to this. He's waving his arms. He's urging this Ukrainian crowd to really get behind his team in the last 15 minutes. And he's been such a spokesman, such a prominent figure really in terms of sport, speaking about the war in his homeland. And I think that is part of that applause as well, as for him scoring the goal that he did in the first half.
So he's been a prominent figure in this game as well, hasn't he? Everything, certainly from an attacking perspective, is going through him. He's had an excellent game, and whether or not that is a timed substitution, that he's only due to play this amount of time for whatever reason. I know he's had a little bit of an injury issue this season, but it's a surprise substitution for me, because I think he was still more than capable of creating something to win this game for Ukraine.
So 1-1 in the last 15 minutes, and another stoppage when Zinchenko left the field there. I'm just trying to work out who it was who came onto the field. Now, I've got a feeling that, let's just try and work that out. I've sneaked him on when I was watching Zinchenko coming off the field and getting the ovation. So let's, it was number 14, yes it is. It's Vitaly Buyalski, another of the Dynamo Kiev players, another experienced man coming into the midfield. So 1-1 the score. Ukraine 1, England 1. Rashford for England hits a cross-field pass all the way over to Bukayo Saka, way over there on the far side of the field. Saka into Foden, but it bounces away from him, just miscontrolled it. And now through the middle as Ukraine come forward dangerously with Buyalski, who's just come on. Buyalski is then dispossessed by Foden. No, that's given us a free kick. Foul by Foden. Free kick to Ukraine on the left-hand side.
The referee had a real look at that. Took a couple of seconds just to deliberate whether to give this free kick, because I think Foden is trying not to make that foul. It's a good recovery from him, because I think it was the pitch to blame for his poor touch, John. It just bobbled up onto his foot. But he just holds the arm as he makes that challenge. As the Ukrainian player falls backwards, it does look like he's pulled him, and I think the referee just needed a little bit of time just to decipher that, and he ends up awarding the free kick in that wide area on the far side.
Okay, dangerous set piece for England to defend. 1-1 the score. Ukrainian supporters on their feet here, trying to urge them on. Taken short, Mudryk swirls it in, but Pickford's underneath that. As they say, it was right down his throat, and he caught it with both hands in front of his face and underarms it out to Rice, but Rice has asked a lot of Rashford with that pass forward, even though Rashford was at full tilt trying to get there, couldn't keep it in, and it's a throw-in in the right back position.
The angle of the pass, the ball was always just curling towards the touchline, as opposed to maybe using his left foot and just curling it down the line and trying to keep it in play, because Rashford certainly had the legs to get it before it ran out over the goal line, but it just goes wide for a throw-in.
It's actually turned out to be quite an even game, and relatively few goal-scoring chances have been created by either team. Most of the football played in between the two penalty areas.
It's not had a lot of real goal-mouth action at all, has it, in terms of efforts on goal, and you saw that one cracking save from Bushkan from Saka. I mean, that's one of the moments of the match, really, tipping that ball onto the crossbar. That was flying into the top corner.
But it was kept out by the fingertips onto the crossbar, so still 1-1. Kyle Walker giving the ball to his left to Declan Rice. Now Rashford again. Rashford, first touch with his right foot. Then back to Declan Rice. Low ball through, but that's beyond Chilwell. And Knopfler is able to turn it away. But in comes Walker with the challenge. Chilwell was still forward there, was absolutely fired at him. He got a foot to it but couldn't prevent it from bouncing out for a throw-in to Ukraine. And we've got 10 minutes to go. Ukraine 1, England 1. Then the build-up will begin in earnest to our commentary on England against Argentina from Marseille. But Mudryk tried to flick the ball around Walker, still well inside his own half. And then Bujalski back into central defence, and Ukraine will start again from the edge of their own penalty area. But Rice is in to actually knee the ball forward. Heavy touch from Rashford. Actually, both players pulled out a bit, Rashford and Bujalski, and the ball just ran between them. However, Ukraine back with it. Stepanenko then forward to Mudryk. Mudryk racing away. Walker trying to reach him. Mudryk goes round Walker and actually runs out of pitch as Walker. It was like watching them come round the bend in the 200 metres as they curled back round together into the penalty area, and in the end, goal kick was the result.
Yeah, Mudryk's in the outside lane, unfortunately for him, because Walker just eases him out. He's on the inside of him, and you're right, he just tries to do him for pace round the outside, which, let's face it, even at Kyle Walker's age, there's not many people that are going to run around the outside of him in that situation. He does so well. He doesn't overcommit. He doesn't leave a loose leg in there. I think he's looking for that Mudryk. He wants Walker just to dangle his leg out there so he can just make contact and go over, but ushers him out of play really nicely.
When the stagger unfolded, Kyle Walker was leading. Ukraine 1, England 1. Now Ben Chilwell. Rashford back into the centre circle. Ben Chilwell coming back into the England squad for this match. He's had his injury problems, missed the World Cup. Luke Shaw, very much first choice. Just one cap in his last 17 internationals. Saka for England turns in field. Challenge comes in from Stepanenko, and Ukraine are off again through the middle. Bujalski turns and plays it to Sidorchuk, another of the substitutes. Now Tsihankov, the dangerous Tsihankov. Little ball through to Dovbyk, but England are back in position, and the ball goes back towards the halfway line. So Sidorchuk with Rashford in front of him, gives it back to Zabani on the halfway line.
He's a big lad, Dovbyk, isn't he?
There are some shoulders on a physical team, aren't they?
Yeah.
Dovbyk, who I've got down as 6'2". He looks significantly more than that. Maguire beats him here. Dovbyk steps in front of him. He's able to lift it forward towards Kane. But it is played up to Tsihankov. Rice, though, is able to take possession back for England, just in front of where Serhii Rebrov is standing.
How many times do you see Declan Rice do that in a game? It's just like he just tidies up, doesn't he? Ball pops loose, and he's got that lovely kind of cushioned first touch that you think if he's too tight or stiff when he goes into that contact, the ball's going to bounce off him, he's going to give it away, but just retains possession so well.
It is getting dark now, and actually I don't know whether this was choreographed before the match. Here's Chilwell taking it into the penalty area for England, but defender came across, blocked it. Back to Rashford, though. Rashford up against Knopfler, takes him on, and whether there was a hand there, yes there was, says the referee. Rashford went down, Knopfler put in the challenge, maybe just a little grab on him. Rashford down he went, won the free kick for England.
Another pause from the referee though, wasn't it? Took a couple of seconds to wonder. I think he just stamps on his foot here. It doesn't look like much at all, and then Rashford goes down a little bit late, but he certainly stands right on the top of Rashford's foot.
I don't know whether this was choreographed or there's any meaning to this, which there might very well be, but the Ukrainian supporters have switched on the lights on their mobile phones, so we've got that effect all around the ground, and now they're on their feet and they're chanting the name of Ukraine. Listen to this. This is a real show of solidarity in the face of the horrors of war that are going on over to the east of here. Free kick then for England, still 1-1, 6 minutes to play. And Foden and Rashford are over the ball in the full-back position. Rashford drives it into the back post, goalkeeper pushed it away across the box. Rice turns it back in, stabbed goalwards, Maguire's in there, but the goalkeeper gets right down at his feet and makes a blocking save. And I think that might be given as a foul on the goalkeeper. Maguire stretching in, and a free kick to Ukraine.
He had every right to go for this ball, Harry Maguire. He's in the right spot. Just had visions of him prodding the winner home there, John, in the 84th minute.
It was a yellow card.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yellow card for Maguire.
He has to go for that ball. I mean, he could possibly get to it first, and he just tries to win it. There's no malice in this challenge at all. As the goalkeeper comes out, they just clash shins almost, and
it's just a question of whether maybe the goalkeeper got to the ball before Maguire, and maybe the ball had gone.
Well,
I've not actually seen that again.
The goalkeeper got to it first, but it's not a yellow card, is it? He's got a right to try and... He's not really gone into this challenge with real force to hurt the goalkeeper. He's just trying to win the ball.
So Ukraine 1, England 1. And another change for England. That's it for Bukayo Saka. Now, he did get a knock early on in the match, and admittedly he produced probably the most exciting moment of the match, that didn't result in a goal when he hit that shot that was saved against the crossbar in the second half. He's not absolutely been his best in this match over the piece.
No, he's had a couple of games. I was at we were at Arsenal. It was a tiny bit out of sorts in that for him, but having said that, John, we're talking about the standards that he has set over the past 12 to 18 months have been 9.5 out of 10 most weeks, which obviously is a really high consistent performance level. So they're the levels we're expecting from Bukayo Saka, and that's testament to how well he's done in the last year or so.
So Chelsea replaces Arsenal. Conor Gallagher's come on to win his 8th cap. Started all the matches for Chelsea so far this season under Maurizio Pochettino. So he should be match sharp. Gallagher coming on for Saka. Still 1-1. England trying to find a winner to make it 5 wins out of 5 in the group. Just 3 qualifiers for England to play after this. It does seem that it is only a matter of time before England finally clinch their place, but Ukraine have proved to be awkward opponents in this match, certainly having taken the lead in the first half in the way they did. Rashford with it on the left-hand side. Gareth Southgate watching on with his hands in his pockets. He's got that cream short-sleeved shirt on again this season. Ball to Foden on the right-hand side. Walker is there as well. Walker back to Rice. If it's going to be a late goal to win it, then we are now in the 88th minute. Maguire to Henderson. Looks as though Henderson is going to play the full match. Ukraine preparing another substitute on the halfway line. But England lose possession, and Ukraine work it forward towards Sidorchuk, and Mudryk's on the chase, and Sidorchuk plays it into his path. Mudryk challenged by Walker, and Walker nips the ball away from him, leaves Mudryk on a pile on the ground, and Mudryk finally just actually beginning to move there, while Kyle Walker's taken the ball halfway inside Ukrainian territory. Walker has comprehensively won that battle so far in this match. Foden now for England up towards the edge of the penalty area, but he is dispossessed by Krivtsov, and it's out for a throw on the far side.
I just find that Mudryk is really struggling to find form at the moment. He's had a bumpy ride at Chelsea, obviously was flying before that move, and it led to that transfer and how much money Chelsea paid for him, but he just doesn't look like he's got the ideas and the picture of what he wants to do. He gets the ball, he's a fast mover. I watched him warming up and he was striking the ball nicely, coming inside, hitting the corners with all his shots, but when you get into that game, his decision making is just a little bit slow. It's not as sharp as maybe what he'd like, and he's just tried to kind of Cruyff that ball while he's breaking. I mean, what he's tried to do there to go past Kyle Walker is near on impossible, which is why he's fallen down on the floor in a heap. And it's just those choices, John, that I'm seeing week in, week out from him just aren't quite at the level.
Well, he's back up now, and actually he's being substituted, so that's it. Another match goes by, I'm afraid, for Mikhailo Mudryk before he can get off the mark. So still looking for his first goal for Ukraine, and he's being replaced by, well, it's a debutant, Yehor Nazarana of Shakhtar Donetsk, winning his first cap at the relatively old age of 26. First time he's been in the squad, but playing for the Ukrainian champions, so he comes on. So yet another central midfielder coming on. Packed midfield now, and it looks as though Serhii Rebrov is thinking, let's just make sure we don't lose this. Might possibly break away, you never know, another counter-attack and snatch another goal, but at 1-1 this would keep him unbeaten in his now 4 matches as Ukraine's national coach. Gallagher playing it back to Rice. 4 minutes of added time being played. We're into it now. Walker overhits the pass, puts his hands on his face. He speared it forward with his right foot, but straight at the goalkeeper, who was able to catch it.
It's a relatively low amount of added time in this game. Actually, it was 1 minute in the first half, I think, wasn't there? And only 4 come the end of the game. It's not the numbers we're used to, John, is it?
No, they're not. Gallagher missed times a header, but managed to find a teammate in any case. Ukraine 1, England 1. 5 live from the BBC. Watching Phil Foden bringing the ball in field. He was caught late there, but he's okay. And he managed to find the pass to Rashford. This could open up for Rashford. No, he stood on the ball actually, and that means that Ukraine are off. But then Sidorchuk stands on the ball. Was it a piece of turf just come up there as well, I noticed, where Sidorchuk miscontrolled it. Now Rashford is carrying it forward again. Rashford square to Kane. Kane 25 yards out, but he's got 2 Ukrainians around him. Still Kane in possession, turns, but Buyalski is able to keep snapping away at him, so Kane has to give it to the right hand side to Walker. Now square from Foden, first time touch from Chilwell. Jordan Henderson is there approaching the edge of the penalty area. Now Rashford curls it in, comes off a Ukrainian head, just loops into the air, and it's caught by the goalkeeper. Cue applause and cheers from the Ukrainian fans.
Yeah, you can really now start to see a few chunks coming out of this new turf. I've got quite good experience of playing on a pitch like that. Remember Birmingham City had to replace their pitch in the middle of the season once, and it was moving all over the place when you had to run around on it. It can be a bit tricky underfoot, and there's a couple of areas there in that new patchy turf that really are starting to lump up a little bit.
I think the pitch will get a mention post-match.
Yeah, I think you're right.
In the interviews.
I think you're right, because it looks how it looks from up here. So imagine when you get down close and personal and start actually looking from close range, it's probably not the easiest of pitches to play on.
2 minutes of added time still to go. Ukraine 1, England 1. Rice clearing from his own left back position. Rashford helped it on, but it was headed forward for Ukraine by Stepanenko, and then walloped forward by Sidorchuk, but Kyle Walker's underneath that, and it's headed back to Jordan Pickford. I was going to say, Jordan Henderson, you know, there was some talk that Jordan Henderson, some England supporters might do some sort of protest at his inclusion, Saudi Arabian base and all that. I have to say, you know, it's not clear to us whether or not that happened. But in terms of his performance, here he is now on the ball. Henderson giving it back to Foden, and then Declan Rice deep in added time now. We're in the 3rd minute of 4. Rashford forward towards Gallagher. Gallagher turns, but Konoplia was there for Ukraine, and he is able to swivel and put the ball away out of play. Actually, Gareth Southgate gets a hand to him on the edge of the coaching area, and it's a throw in that Rashford is waiting to take. Rashford to Gallagher, who allows the ball to bounce across him. Gallagher goes for goal, but it actually hits the back of Krivtsov on the edge of the penalty area, and it bounces away to the halfway line.
Just saw a little opening there, didn't he, Gallagher? As the throwing came, he lets it run across his body, has a touch, and thinks, I'll just try and curl this into the far corner. I think Henderson's done well, John. I think he hasn't looked out of sorts at all. He's looked right on the pace.
Yeah, agree with that. Gallagher playing the ball out towards the right-hand side. Foden, this might be the last chance for a winner. Foden, left-footed ball in, but that's headed up and across the penalty area and out over on the far side. And that is it. I don't think there's going to be time for the corner to be taken. No, the final whistle goes, and it's on as even here. Ukraine 1, England 1, and England for the first time in this qualifying group drop points. But for Serhii Rebrov, the Ukrainian coach, that is a very satisfactory result. They've got to go to Milan on Tuesday. That's a big one for them. Probably need to win that. But for England, they remain unbeaten in the group and still right on course for qualification for the Euros.
Well, after going 1 down, you just feel that England are relatively happy to come off this pitch, get showered and changed and get on that plane and head back to England with that point. It's not a bad away point in a circumstance and in an arena that's got a lot of emotion running through it, a lot of passion in the support, and I think they control big moments of the game and big time periods of this match. But Ukraine, you have to give them credit. They did look a threat on the counter-attack, and I think they've put out a really good display here today. And I think both teams, on reflection, probably is a fair result.
So lots of thank yous going on now out on the pitch. The England players heading off into the corner to applaud their supporters who've come here to Wrocław to watch this. Gareth Southgate leading them there, but also much more significantly, the Ukrainian players saying a big thank you to the great support that they've received from the around 40,000 Ukrainians, many of whom are really exiled from their home country, who've watched and really supported them. Were rewarded with the opening goal from Alexander Zinchenko in the first half. Kyle Walker equalised with his first goal for England in his 77th appearance. We saw that moment when Bukayo Saka had the shot in the second half that was tipped against the crossbar, but it is honours even, and there's a general mood of celebration inside the stadium here. As Matthew Upson says, it does feel that there's a lot of emotion inside this football stadium now, and the Ukrainian players will just watch this. The Ukrainian players doing the Icelandic style applause, all of them on the pitch, clapping in unison above their heads. And this is a great moment of solidarity. So there we are, Ukraine won, England won the final score.
Thank you, John. Yes, Group C table as it stands in this European Championship qualifying campaign. England still unbeaten in the group, no longer on maximum points. Played 5, 13 points. Ukraine played 4, 7 points. Italy have played only 2 games in the group. They're away to North Macedonia tonight. They're on 3 points, and it's Italy against Ukraine on Tuesday. North Macedonia on 3 points themselves, having played 3, and Malta, bottom of the group, on no points. Just looking at those scenes and listening to the noise inside the stadium, Matt, it actually feels like the result more about Ukraine this evening. I mean, obviously most of our listeners interested in this sort of England take on things, but Ukraine offered sort of far greater resistance, a far better opposition than they did at Wembley in March, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely. They were far more organised. I think Rebrov looks to have a handle on this situation and could be a very successful manager for this nation, but I think they put out a performance that was very dogged, very committed, everything that you'd kind of expect really from what the nation's going through, and it's been so fully appreciated from these supporters that the vast majority are still here in this ground clapping the players as the last few remaining yellow shirts wander off the pitch.
How do you think England will feel about their performance, Matt? Any regrets from tonight?
I think they started so comfortably, Ali. It was dominant possession for 20 minutes. I mean, Ukraine barely had the ball, and then they got that sucker punch, but it was a little bit over elaborate at times. Bellingham had an interesting game, like smooth as you like, real quality and wow moments, and the way he goes past people, and then a couple of moments that maybe are a little bit loose or a little bit over elaborate, and there wasn't quite enough cutting edge or end product to their possession. Looked a little bit more direct in the second half, but overall controlled so many long patches of the game, and I think they'll be happy. I think Gareth Southgate won't be too disappointed to get back home with a point from this fixture, which was always going to be tricky.
John, I heard you say in commentary you're fairly confident, aren't you, that we're going to hear from Kyle Walker after this game? Big moment for him.
Yeah, it was, and he's not built his career on scoring goals, there's no question about that, but I thought he had an all-round good game. Against Mudryk, he won that contest hands down, really. The kind of player, he loves the challenge of being involved against another speedster and showing that at 33 years old he's still got it. I will, if I do get a chance to speak to him, I'll certainly be asking the question about what he was thinking when he got himself into that position. He got the ball under control, the goalkeeper's coming out, he's near the edge of the 6-yard box. There was just an element there, wasn't there? You thought, is he going to finish this? But he did.
There was a moment of time, wasn't there? Sometimes the ones where you got a bit of time to think are the hardest, and he had a little split second, didn't he, where he had to choose where he was going to prod the ball.
Yeah, so we were having a look. You know, there are some very good England players who didn't get on the score sheet. Ashley Cole never scored for England. Gary Neville never scored for England. And Walker was up those kind of numbers, you know, 77 caps, but they can't take it away from him now.
No. What about the performance of James Maddison? It's slightly frustrating to watch this evening because there were some great opportunities for him. He's such a good player with the ball at his feet. Occasionally the first touch just let him down a bit this evening.
Yeah, it did. One occasion where Bellingham tried to slide him through and he just couldn't take the ball in his stride, but that happened just after he got himself booked, and he just lost his discipline a little bit, which I'm sure, you know, he's got so much better at. He's so much more consistent and reliable with how he plays. We know his quality. Well, you know, it's why he's on the pitch for England. But he just brings something a bit different than Rashford. They're two very different players in that area, aren't they? When you think of the speed and the directness and the way Marcus Rashford has those surges to run at people, Maddison's such a clever little technician. Lots of pirouettes, lots of 360-degree turns and picking the ball up in dangerous pockets of the pitch. And he did that relatively well. I don't think it was a bad display, but maybe just could have made a little bit more of a couple of good openings that he had.
What about the other end of the field, Matt, then the Maguire-Gahey partnership at centre-back?
Yeah, it didn't come under much pressure, did it? You know, the goal was a breakaway counter-attack, which they didn't quite lock into their men well enough, but they were so stretched, England, and the midfield players couldn't arrive before Zinchenko, and he just got there first. But other than that, Ali, there wasn't masses of defending to do, and sometimes they are the harder games, in fairness to them. You know, when there's not much to do and the team's spread because you've got a lot of possession and you're high up on the halfway line. I thought they coped really well. I thought Gahey was solid, never looked shaky at all, looked comfortable with the ball. A couple of really nice, decisive, straight passes where he broke the line and not afraid to fizz that ball along the ground into midfield. So, you know, I thought it was a decent performance from Gahey in particular.
John, next up, of course, another big footballing occasion. It's I say only a friendly. It's not a competitive international, but it's Hampden Park on Tuesday, isn't it, for England?
Yeah, I think an interesting one. I think that probably more straightforward for Steve Clarke than it is for Gareth Southgate, because, you know, how much will he change the team for that match, and you know, whether that's the time to throw in a new central defensive partnership, I would probably doubt, because he knows what it's going to be like to go to Hampden and what it will be like, everything that surrounds that match. You know, that's a proper test. That should be a very good night's viewing and listening, I hope.
Yeah, looking forward to it, John. I know you got Pat Nevin and Chris Waddle alongside you. Is that right on Tuesday?
That's correct.
Good.
Yes, very much so.
Good. Have a good evening. Good luck with the post-match interviews, John. I hope we'll get to hear from Gareth Southgate before England-Argentina kicks off at 8. But thank you, and thank you to Matt Upson as well.